Hello, everyone, and welcome to Whale Project Showcase. Today, we are featuring Average Creatures, the new collectible series by surreal photographer KAREN JERZYK that embraces the strange using meticulously handcrafted props and sets to create a nostalgic-inspired Henson-like magical experience. Team, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Really
Yeah,
hyped.
thank you for having us.
Yeah, definitely. We're really hyped to have you. A lot of excitement around your project and a lot of people that want to know more, being that it's so different. If you wouldn't mind, could you guys just go through the group and just a brief intro on who you are?
Yeah, go for it. Who's on top? Toto, is that you? You're on top.
I'm Rob or Toto. I'm in charge of the smart contract development, the website, and a little bit of the direction of the project.
Very cool.
I'm Karen. I'm the photographer, painter, sculptor, background maker. So I did all the actual building of the physical assets.
Yeah, and I'm Raul Serpas, and I'm creative, so working on all things marketing, promos, and all of that good stuff with Karen and Toto.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, guys. Karen, for anyone that didn't get a chance to check our interview in the spring, and my goodness, this seems like years ago, right at this point, the pace this space goes. To level set everyone, could you just tell us briefly a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a photographer. I live in Manchester, New Hampshire. I've lived here my whole life. I have a studio here. And so I got into photography around 2003. I just graduated from college. I got a BA in English and didn't really do much with it. And around the time I graduated, I just got really into going to concerts, and I just took an interest to concert photography. So I basically from like 2003 to 2010, that's all I did. And then toward the tail end of it, I started to get kind of like bored with it. There was just no really creative outlet in terms of like I had any control of what I was taking photos of. Because it's not like you can stop people when they're playing during a concert and be like, oh, can you stand a certain way? So I started trying my hand at just doing like portrait photography, and I kind of just from there, that's all I wanted to do. So I kind of stopped doing the music stuff, but every so often I do like music videos, and I'll do like promo stuff and album covers, which is cool. But yeah, so I guess if I had to describe my work, it's surrealistic. All the elements in it are real. I use little to no Photoshop. If there is Photoshop involved, typically it's just like for color correction and stuff like that. So yeah, it's always important to me to just have everything there and do it in camera. It's from growing up watching like The Goonies and like Neverending Story and just like all those 80s surreal fantastical movies where you can just tell everything's handmade, and that always kind of stuck with me. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do now, is just that fine art kind of portraiture, and I build sets, and I like the images you're showing. I go to a lot of like abandoned places to shoot, and I love finding places too. Like I'm always on the internet just like researching stuff, and it's fun because it's like you see pictures of a place or you just randomly find it, and it's like I want to go there, and you look at pictures of it. Sometimes they're so long, like I'll find a place and it's like, I don't know when I'm going to be in Utah next, but you know, when I'm there, I can check this place out. And then you're actually there and it's like, oh, this is so cool to see it in person. when all this time I've just been looking at a picture of it. So yeah.
Right. I think that's part of the people that are big fans of yours. That's the appeal is, it has tangible weight to it because you're doing so little Photoshop and you're actually building out the sets and the props, going to the locations. It's a totally different experience, and I think it evokes kind of a different reaction from people.
Right. Yeah. I think people can tell too, like there's a difference between something that's generated and something that's real. Not that there's an issue with either of them, but I like the feel, and I like even people's reactions when they know, like, I either built this set or this is something that actually exists. And I love telling people that, there was one location I went to in California. It was a lava tube. And like most people that lived in California had no clue it existed. So I was like, you need to go there. Like, you need to go and check it out, because there's just so many crazy things that exist in real life that it's kind of like killing two birds with one stone. It's like I'll travel there and look at it and be there, and that's cool. But then I also get to utilize it in my work. So that's like double the points, I guess.
Right, right. So, I know we had talked last year in the spring, and you were kind of finding your footing in the space and exploring a little bit. How has the NFT movement evolved since then for you, and what's been happening?
Yeah, so it's been crazy. I'm just, oh man, I'm so lucky and grateful to be in the space. Back in the spring, it was still kind of, it's funny because I think in the spring when we last talked, the whole photography in the NFT world was kind of still a weird faux pas thing. Like, because I remember people when I first last January or January 2021, when I would like go into, clubhouse rooms or whatever, and people would be like, nope, you can't just post a single photo with no animation. And I was like, oh no, I can't, like, then this space isn't for me. I thought I'd have a good chance. And but that kind of like obviously developed into, now photography is like super, sought after. And it's amazing to be in a space where what I do is appreciated, where photography is appreciated. I see on, my social media feeds, like Twitter and everything, basically just Twitter, because I don't even know if people use Instagram that much anymore, but just seeing other photographers be successful in a way that they never were before, and that including myself, I'm blown away to actually have people and collectors that, value what I do, because that, not in the NFT world, like before NFTs, that was really hard. And yeah, it's just been going great, and it's brought up so many opportunities where I can do other work that I've always wanted to do, but I was kind of like afraid to stray away from it. Because it's like I found, my aesthetic voice and all that, years ago, but I always stuck with that. I was like, this is working, like this is how I'm surviving. I want to try other things, but like, why would I stray from what's working? It wasn't really in the cards for me financially or time wise. So definitely in the past year being in the NFT space, it's allowed me to do so many other things that I wanted to try for years, like 10, 20 years. And now I can finally, experiment with those ideas and kind of do other things and try other stuff. So yeah, it's been amazing.
Yeah, and to echo what you said, right now, photography is really at the forefront of what's like the next segment that a lot of people are really, looking to collect, and that value proposition has clicked with people and it's made sense, right? Like the intrinsic value of just the still photograph, let alone needing to have to adapt to what the traditional digital art was. So that's really been cool to see that evolve. And even within that, there's subsegments, right? Like people are like, okay, well, it's landscape photography right now, or it's drone photography or whatever, right? It's continuing through that progression, and we're just at the beginning stages of that, I think. And so it'll be exciting to see how that continues to grow and how your collector base continues to grow. Because when they get involved in your stuff and they start going down the rabbit hole, they get really fervent and they become they become disciples of Karen Jerzyk's photography for sure.
I don't mind that. I'll take that.
So talk to me about average creatures.
Yeah, so I mean, this is a prime example of something that I never ever like. I cringe thinking about it just not being in the space, because I'm like, all these things I probably never would have gotten to or been able to do. But like, yeah, this is like a prime example of just doing something that's me, I guess, artistically, and then just kind of like my personality and everything. But it's different from what everyone's used to seeing from me. And so Raul and I have a mutual friend. He's a producer. We were supposed to work on a short film together years ago. I think it was like 2015 or 16 or something like that, which I can't believe I'm saying years ago about that time period already. But yeah, so we were like on each other's Facebook, and just things happened and we never got around to working on that film, but we were just always still on each other's social media and all that. And then one day, I think it was like August-ish, he randomly contacted me and he was like, "Hey, I noticed you're like into the whole NFT world. Did you ever consider doing a generative project?" And I had I definitely, like, I'm a collector as well, so I've collected, we're fans of, like toy boogers and robotos, and I could keep going. What's another one? It's the surreals are amazing, but there's just, so around that time I was like collecting a lot myself, and I had thought of it. I was like, oh, I wonder if like that would ever be in the cards for me. But when he asked me that, I was like, I couldn't imagine what I was doing currently with, the massive sets. Like behind me, this is a set I built. This took a while. I mean, this took like a few weeks to do, and like probably, I don't know, a few weeks of like 10-hour days just working on it nonstop. So, just giving that information, what I mean, a generative project would have to take years to do if I did it like I normally do. So I was like, I gave him an answer of yes, but I was like, let me think about how we're going to do this. And then I just kept going back to, I've always wanted to work kind of smaller scale and like just make little creatures. And when COVID started and everything was shut down at first, I couldn't shoot people. I mean, I'm also a business, so like photography studios obviously were shut down. So not only did I not want to get COVID and I was kind of scared, but I would have gotten fined if I was doing business out of my studio. So I was like, what am I going to do? Like, this is going to destroy me. So I thought about it for a couple days and I ended up buying some mannequins. And I was like, I have plenty of wardrobe. I'm going to dress these mannequins and just, I guess they're going to take the place of people for who knows how long. And, but then I was like, what do I do with the faces? Like it looks stupid with just like blank mannequin faces, because most of them were just like those plain, they didn't even have faces. It was like just like plain white. So several days after that, I was in a craft store and I found, I've always had an interest in sculpting and painting. Like I don't do it too often, but I like doing it just kind of for fun. And I found this material. It's called sculpting foam, I believe, and it's like amazing to work with. Like when it dries, it's super light and it's like really paintable. So I started making masks to go on these mannequins, and for months I was producing material that people thought that actual people were in. I was even stuffing mannequins in the astronaut suit I have. So but I guess the point of that is that got me into like the sculpting and the painting and everything and making like character faces. So I was like, when Raul asked me, I was like, oh man, I can probably just make like little heads. So I happen to have some, so you can see like the size of them.
Oh,
So
wow.
they're all, I mean, some of them are actually life size, because we used some that I already had made for people. Um, but yeah, so my thought was, oh, I can just make like a ton of heads, and that's going to be the generation. And I knew I wanted everything to be real. Like I wanted it to follow all kind of like my this is kind of a bigger one, but I wanted it to follow like my general rule for myself that I just want everything to be, not generated like I'm making it or whatever. So yeah, so I basically for months made all these characters. I did all the backgrounds by hand. All the bodies are all mannequins that have like wardrobe on them. I'm sure we'll talk about that later. That was a nightmare. Like if anyone ever
Hey now.
is but yeah, so that's basically kind of how it came into play. And I really wanted to create something that like people I always I love nostalgia. Like I miss being a kid, and I just miss how people I knew, how they were when I was a kid, and like I miss the shows when I was a kid. And there's like so much about being a child and just being younger that I miss, that I wanted to create something that other people looked at it and it like brought them back to that time, to the time they were a kid and they were like, oh, this is like, I made this. I mean, obviously kids can enjoy these, but like, I kind of made this for adults to enjoy with kind of like that childlike, like, curiosity. I wanted it to have emotion. And again, there's so many amazing PFP projects out there, but yeah, I wanted to do something really different. I wanted it to be, visually cool, but I also, yeah, I wanted to attach that emotion onto it as well, and that character. And when we did the first generation of these, we were laughing because each head, depending on what body it's on, is totally different. Like it gives them a totally different personality. So we've been kind of like, we're working on the backstories, and we're huge on listening to like our community too. As we grow it, we're listening to them. And a lot of people ask like, wow, these, they have such emotion and everything to them. It looks like a little story, and people were asking us what the backstories are. So, we figured, and I think we're already doing that kind of too, right? When we were posting them and kind of joking and being like, this is Frank. He's a he's a telemarketer at a local telemarketing firm. He hates his job, and but yeah, it's just funny because it's like and that's why it's average creatures. Literally, it's because as we were looking at the first test generation, it's the human body clothes that make them just like an average person, like wearing a leisure suit. So
Yeah, I mean, you touch on so many amazing things. I think I'm drawn to it because I love that type of emotion response, quite honestly. And I mean this as the greatest compliment to you. You know, great art to me is something that evokes emotion, and this harkens back to, um, a lot of those '80s movies had inherent danger. Like there was danger in them. There was death. There was an element that really isn't there quite as much today, I think, where it had really weight and gravity. And so, the cuteness and the surreal, you didn't know if it's a fairy tale or a nightmare or a dream at some time, right? It kind of walked the line. It was up to your artistic interpretation and how you received it. So I feel like a lot of this really captures that. And a lot of the people I see in your community, in your Discord, talk about that, how it really, is something that they love because of it. And it's so unique. Um, the way that you've leveraged the mixed media in a way that people really haven't seen before. The labor alone that it would take is incredible. I mean, I'd love to hear more about the process and what it entailed, to get all of this together.
yeah, so that Raul, maybe you can speak on that a little.
Yeah, of course. Hey, everyone. Thank you for having us. So, yeah, as Karen said, I had reached out to her last year around August or so, and we started talking about what this project could be, or if it was even realistic to do a fully handmade uh, PFP project of this kind. And from that point on, it took a few months for Karen to she was like, hey, I'm going to start making these heads. I've been sculpting, and she showed us some samples, and from the samples we were like, well, we'll see if this is actually going to work because it just seems so intricate. But then the more she kept showing us these samples, the more excited we got, even though we still didn't really know, you know, how much we were getting into with the whole process. We kind of had an idea, but we went up to Karen's studio in December, and we went and photographed all of the assets. So every single thing you see, every backdrop, every outfit, every head, every piece you see in the final token was photographed, and we spent countless hours just working out even things as like lighting and how we were gonna shoot the elements.
Have
So
you
it was a
ever
very
seen,
tedious
like
process.
five adult humans like grappling and wrestling with mannequins that just
Yeah.
aren't cooperating somehow?
Yeah, that's the last time I want to see a mannequin in person, because we literally spent hours and hours just dressing these things in
We
the
had like
arms.
an assembly line.
Yeah.
It was a literal assembly. Like I was dressing them, and like I gave up on the arms. I was just like, I was like, I'm not dealing with the arms anymore.
The arms just kept falling
I would
off.
just stand armless, like they'd be flopping because they'd be like unhinged from the thing, and I would just because it was like 4 a.m. when we were finishing up, because like Toto's not even from the United States. You were flying what? You had like a 1 p.m. flight the next day to El Salvador.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to take the flight after assembling like 100 mannequins. But
So yeah, we spent countless hours just photographing everything, which then once we got to see the tests from what we were shooting, that's when it really clicked. Oh man, this is super cool, and this is even better than we had initially anticipated. So that part was really exciting after we wanted to die trying to fight mannequin arms falling off and taking hours to do it. But then the once we got to see what the tests were and the creatures were looking like, and the quote unquote personalities that they start to take once you put them in their costumes, it was just super exciting. And like that whole process again was super tedious, but I think that when you see the piece, and that's one part that's been super fun for us, is just like hearing what the community thinks and feels when they see the creatures. And the we've been joking a lot about what does this guy do for a living, and people are like, well, he's a library custodian, or he works, he does taxes, and this one's a grumpy professor. And like the little character and personalities that they start to take is just super cool. It's like kind of has taken a little bit of an unexpected turn, I guess, in the way that we initially just were kind of going into it. So we kind of flew blind in a way, because we just didn't really know, like, is this going to work? Is this just going to look terrible once we take the pictures? And and like we were dealing with hair and all these different textures that none of us had worked with before. But it was just a really fun challenge in a way, to just be like, if we can make this work from the technology standpoint of actually creating generated PFPs out of all these hundreds of pieces, then this can be something really special. And yeah, that's where we, that's what's been really cool from the moment we started putting the collection out and building community and talking to people. It's been super cool to see just how people react to the fact that these are literally handmade, assembled by hand, dressed from all these different sizes and textures and elements. So yeah, it's been a really, really fun process.
Sounds like a lot. It sounds like a lot. That was the assembly, let alone the building of the, the heads and the brainstorming of the various sets and outfits. Karen, like on average, funny that I would say that, but on average, for each piece, right, for each head or each character you create, how much time does that take you? Because there's so many.
Yeah, so I normally don't go into it with an idea. There was a few of them, like the one we call Frank, that obviously is basically Frankenstein's monster. Like I knew I wanted to do him, but I just kind of like sit down and I do it, and that clay foam dries pretty quickly, which is a blessing and a curse because it dries quickly, I can always like paint it the next day, but when I'm sculpting, I have to be fast. So I think the most I've probably spent doing one is like an hour. I think it probably takes me like 30 minutes to sculpt it on average. I don't know why I can do it so quickly. It's weird. I just like it's just such an easy medium to work with. Yeah. So
she is saying that because she knows what she's doing, because I bought the same material to play with my kids and it's not easy. So
really,
Right.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just like my thing, I guess. That's my legacy is like they should sponsor me. I've gotten I'm probably the only one buying it. That's why they still have that product, honestly. Like,
Oh
yeah,
man.
once we got back,
you know what? I am gonna do that. Like I am gonna show them the millions of things I've made with that
honestly,
clay foam stuff and
you
be
should.
like,
When I got back home from Karen's studio from that trip, I bought it because I was like, oh man, my kids would enjoy doing these things. And trust me, it is not as easy as she made it sound. She's like, oh,
it has
takes
a
me
consistency.
30 minutes.
It's like the consistency of when you make like slime almost, but a little thicker. So it's kind of floppy, like
Yeah.
it's but so yeah.
I think even more impressive to me personally is, from a technical perspective, putting it together is one thing, but having the creativity to make them and them all be so dope, like on the fly in 1 hour, like I would be sitting there struggling, like, okay, and trying to mimic something, that I
That's
had
what I'm
inspiration
telling
from.
you. It is.
It's bad though for anyone near me because when I'm working on something like that, like
You're in the zone.
yeah, so someone will be like, we have to do this thing today, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, we talked about it like for 20 minutes last night. And I was like, oh, I didn't hear that. Like, I was like, did you talk to me when I was working on something? And yeah, so like that's yeah, I just get it done. And like the painting takes a little longer sometimes because that has to be like more precise. Like that's more like with the sculpting, I just kind of do whatever I'm doing. Like, oh, whatever it looks like, that's what it's gonna be. But yeah, with the painting, it's like I can't just like slap on the paint anywhere. So that takes probably a little longer. Like that's the most time consuming part.
Right.
I mean, even the backgrounds weren't that bad because I have so much stuff at my studio. Like there's no lack of like finding stuff for texture and just yeah.
Yeah, someone in the community had said they couldn't believe that you're on a set, right? Like, so this is going to be their introduction to some of those amazing talents that you have, because everything you touch is so incredible. It gets me hyped. I got to put on my it gets me hyped just looking at your work all the time. And this
Thank you.
definitely calls to me. So you went in, you just get the inspiration, you build it. Talk to me about the collection. how many are there? Are there specific species or colors, traits, etc.?
Yeah, so there's going to be 7,734, and we chose that number because in the vein of kind of going back to like our childhoods, you remember when you would write that in your calculator and you turned it over and it spelled hell, and
Yep.
like, as a 6-year-old, that was like the edgiest thing you could do. So that's literally why we chose that number. So so the separate assets are the backgrounds, the heads, the bodies. They're all going to have little badges that they're pretty much Girl Scout, Boy Scout, like merit badges that I bought like hundreds of dollars worth. If you're out there and ripping me off, whoever's watching, if you're the one ripping me off for merit badges that are like this small and they're charging like $20, it's like, what? Um, but yeah, so the badges display their hobbies, which there's like a lot of funny ones with that. And this is all like coming from the community at, being like, oh, is there a backstory or whatever? And this is something I haven't seen much of. They're going to have an invisible asset, so you can't see it, but it's going to be their jobs. So you can see everything but their jobs, and their jobs are actually going to be assets as well. So that will, that will all play with the rarity. Like obviously there's like one mayor, so it's meant to be like all these little creatures just live in this world kind of like in this town together.
I'm not sure I follow the invisible asset. Could you explain that to me a little bit more?
So it's actually Toto, you're probably
it would be like embedded in the metadata.
Okay.
So when you go into the metadata, you will see like their actual job. So you have
Okay.
a telemarketer, you have a publicist, you have.
All right. So what you're telling me is they're gonna be groups forming afterwards of like unions of average creatures, subgroups within the community. A lot of fun stuff to be
Yeah,
had with this.
and that's the thing. I mean, and that's why we're trying to grow our community, and like we definitely want to take this further. We're not just stopping with this. We've already been talking about things like that, how we're coming out with all these assets allows for more growth in the future with these characters. And yeah, we definitely want to grow the whole world and the characters, and yeah.
So as far as the variety goes, and it looks like there's a lot of just creative inspiration, and I love that's really what we're getting. It's not like super regimented and planned. Is there varieties in rarity and in type, or is there any sub categorization?
There is, and we have like so our legendaries are going to be animated.
Oh wow.
So there's going to be 5 that are animated, and we already have those. I want to share those so bad too. I keep looking at them like, because then it's cool to see them like moving. And the animator is someone I've known him for years. I actually met him off this site called Hit Record. It's actually a really good like collaboration artistic site. But yeah, he's been animating my work for years for that site. And that was another like great instance where like it felt good that like I like was like, dude, give me your rates, or oh no, I just like went at him with like, I'll give you. So I like paid him, and like that was awesome. Because again, like before the NFT space, like it was really hard. Like I would have to like barter stuff because I just was doing stuff like that. And he probably would have done it for nothing, but I was like, no man, like but yeah, so
as an aside, isn't it great to be in a spot where it's no longer conversations about exposure, right? Like the value of art's really appreciated.
Yes, you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly it. But yeah, so some of the different assets have different weights to them. What's another, Toto? You're good at speaking about this part.
Yeah, so on the rarity side, we have some special backgrounds, like the one Karen is sitting right now.
Okay.
So the main or the common backgrounds would be like the ones built by hand. but Karen has like these awesome sets in her studio that we
Right.
took like pictures in the same format for the creatures. So those will be on the rare side, and then the animated ones would be like super rare or legendary, however you want to call them.
Okay. Yeah.
And
No.
Yeah, there's different
and
percentages on even on bodies, on heads, that yeah, once they are out, you will see all the numbers displayed.
Yeah,
and then
we
we also
we have
have,
some good collaborations too,
yeah,
like really like bucket list collaborations. So
Okay. Yeah. I was going to ask about that. You have some collaborations in the collection as well.
yes. So I don't a
we
lot of
haven't
the
announced them yet.
right.
Oh, so we got the hush from the person trying to manage that aspect. I appreciate it, but it's exciting to know
She
there's a
won't leak
bucket
it.
list.
She won't
Yeah,
leak information.
yeah.
Okay.
And it's all other artists that like I've met in the space that I either love the projects they've done or just, their one of one work or whatever. And that's the other great part is like the ability to collaborate with other artists. I really love that aspect of it. So we have some people that have done a few heads. We have some people that are doing a few backgrounds. So yeah, we're excited about that too.
And what is cool about the collaborations is to see how different artists, they try to do something like to be in the same world or the same universe as our creatures. So they're trying to match the lightings, or if it was digital art, Karen is like printing and cutting them out to match.
Right.
So they're looking great.
Mhm.
That's very cool. Those legendaries are going to be highly sought after,
Yeah.
for sure. And so originally you guys were planning to launch. I saw that you had pushed that back a little bit as you added more features, I think, to the collection. And sounds like some of these collaborations or enhanced cool stuff could be part of that. What's the new launch date for minting?
So we
Is this
really right now we're just so someone who we trust and just they've been successful and you especially in such a new space, like you got to listen to people that are just giving you advice, and so we had a few people say you probably want to it's that they believe in us. They think we should just have more eyes on it, just grow our community more as a, when people are going to see this, they're going to love it, but you need more people to see it. So we're like, yeah, I mean, we've done pretty well in the past. I mean, we've probably only had our social media up since I think we did it that night you guys, I mean, those few days you guys were here. So that was like December. So we've had some pretty good growth. I think it's just the struggle of getting the work in front of people's eyes. So, whether it's doing, stuff like this is amazing. Like this is an incredible help, and doing like Twitter spaces and trying to get people in the Discord and following us. And yeah, so I think we want to do that for, not too long, but and we were also advised like right now while you're doing that, like don't pick a set date. I mean, it's definitely going to be in the near future. I mean, we have everything together, we have everything together ready to go. But then once we decided that, we were like, okay, we can take like a few people asked me like, oh, do you need anyone else to contribute? Like I have someone contributing more backgrounds, because it's like now we can wait, and that's something that's,
right?
unless I'm completely wrong, Toto, like pretty easy to just put in. Like that's, you know,
So, so what you're telling me is, as dope as this is, you're adding more stuff, and so we're probably looking at another month, few weeks, something of that nature,
probably like,
and then
yeah, I'd say like a month sounds good. I mean, and there's been a lot of other projects that have done that, and they've, it's, I feel good about it. Like I think we were afraid to tell people like, oh, we should wait, but everyone's like, no, man, if you like need to wait, that's fine, because that's the other thing is I'm so like passionate about this project that yeah, I think it feels good waiting, and just because even sometimes like you do something, they always tell people like before you get a tattoo which is permanent, draw it out and then just like leave it for, don't draw it out and then immediately go to the tattoo parlor and get it. Draw it out or have someone draw it out, whatever, but have it like printed out so you can look at it for a little bit. And sometimes you want it, sometimes you want to add things onto it. And I'm like that with a lot of things. Like, and I think this is good that we waited a little, because now that we're not like, oh, we got to release this like on this date right now. Yeah, like a few things have come up where like a few people contacted us, or we contacted other people for collaborations, or they recently got back to us, or so it's like we can wait a few, and maybe in the interim I can like make a few more characters and just add on to it. Yeah, I mean, because making more characters is probably like,
Right.
you know, it's a plus, you know, it's not a negative. So
Well, I know
yeah.
everyone goes nuts in your Discord when you drop a new sneak peek, so the anticipation will definitely build. I'd encourage everyone to get over there. It's a lot of fun, like you said, talking about the personalities of these characters, and it sounds like more and more enhancements to come. So exciting stuff for sure. I got a question that was just DM'd to me from the community. What are the plans post-launch? Anything cool to happen with these, or still under wraps?
So we have a bunch of ideas, and we were talking about this. Like I know the whole roadmap conversation is kind of like, some people want like a super like laid out, like, you know, precise roadmap, and then there's some people that, or some projects that, you know, are just like, oh, we'll go with the flow. I'd say we're pretty much in the middle. There's a lot of things we talked about, definitely, like, you know, definitely giving to charities as milestones as they're minting. So like 20, 50, 80, and if hopefully 100%. And I already have those picked out, and we're going to put all this on the site as well. And you know, we're talking about funds for helping other artists, like minting funds, which I think that's important, because I remember when I minted my first NFT, like $150 for gas. That was like unheard of for me. I was like, oh my God. Like, I mean, that was a lot of money. And now it's
Right.
most of us who have been in it and we have the ETH, we can mint like 5 things a day. And we oddly don't think about it. You know, it's like a weird, but it's like, there's people out there that want to get in the space. They've done their research. Which I appreciate. I love when I see other artists like actually caring and doing the research, because those are the people I tend to gravitate to and be like, let me help you with that. Like, if you have any questions, let me know. But you know, the people that are putting the work in are going to be the people in the community that, you know, that they'll eventually help people, and they're not just there to just buy my work, but I don't care about anyone else. But yeah, so I think that's important, is just having, you know, something out there to help artists that are getting into it. And we were thinking galleries, pop-up events, because we have all the physical assets. We can do galleries, so we can display all the heads, we can display all the backgrounds. I have all the wardrobe. We could put those on mannequins. We could have, you know, a runway of people. Yeah. All right, no mannequins, but like
No mannequins.
or a runway of people, you know, with the average creatures, you know, costumes on, and doing pop-up events. Like I was doing this before the NFT world, but I would do like pop-up sets where primarily in like New York City and LA, but I would like build a set, and it was kind of like a photo booth thing where people come in for like 10, 20 minutes. I take photos. And so like just doing immersive stuff like that. And where we keep telling people in our community, like, please let us know if there's something like you want us to have merch, like photo books, like little square coffee table photo books, or like, you know, just any suggestions we're open to. And we don't want to promise anything, you know, because it's like, all right, you want us to do this ridiculous, like, it depends, you know, but I would do pretty ridiculous stuff. There's not much I'd say no to, maybe. I don't know. Like, I don't want to tattoo my face.
Right.
We should all get average creatures characters tattooed over our faces.
Yeah,
But
I'm down. I can do that.
yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing. We're open. Like, we want people to give us ideas because what was someone on our Discord had like a brilliant idea. I forgot what it was. I mentioned it the other day, but like,
The
yeah,
box,
what's that?
the box to do like with the materials to create your own creature.
Oh my, yes, yeah, like doing these like events where, yeah, it's like you create your own creature, like yeah, he said that in context. What was the explain his idea because it was really good.
It was something along the lines of like a subscription box where you get the materials and then we
Yeah,
do contests or something like that. So like
yeah,
we'll do a wine and paint night.
yeah, but even just him recommending that like opened up like a can of worms of so many other. Because then I was like, you could even do that digitally, like we could, it. But yeah, like we definitely want to hear from people in our community about
That would
about
be cool. Like if you had a content. First of all, you had like a work along or something like that, right? Like, and they could create with you, and you could kind of talk through just kind of your process and get
Mhm.
an intimate um, opportunity to see the way you work. And then maybe,
Right.
people could submit, the community votes, and maybe a winner gets added to extension of the collection, right? The average creatures community creations or something. But
Yeah.
I would 100% go to any event where these things were live, whether it was a pop up, a runway show. Imagine a fun house where these characters are just there in a set like environment. You should
Yeah.
definitely throw something like that at one of the bigger NFT events, man. That would be a huge draw. Imagine you could go
Yeah.
by and be part of that. It'd be so different.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, that's the possibilities is like, and that's the thing. It's like the more we grow, the more insane things we can do with this. So that's why we're just trying to like, hash out our community and just, yeah. And it's a two-way street. Like I said, we just want to have conversations with everyone. That's a great idea, though, the funhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Just
mean, that's stuff that I would think about and I'd be like, let's figure it out.
nice. Yeah, just looking at this sample of 10 that you have on the front page here. I love the piglet looking guy with the toy guns, but the community for some reason associates me with tentacles, so I'd have to go with the center bottom there. That's my thing now, evidently.
Yeah, I love tentacles. There's a few. Oh, they're right. They're one. The other one's above the other one.
Okay, yeah, the white tentacles, very cool. Oh man, the collection's right up my alley. No wonder why I love it. To your comments about roadmap, I think that it's important. A lot of projects can promise a lot of things, but what really carries projects forward is community, and that community really being vested in what the project is about and how they connect with it after the fact. And that's the ones we see that are really successful. They do that, and I think the fact that you're working to resonate with people on that level where it's part of their enjoyment, they care about it, things of that nature, and then that's how you're going to foster it afterwards. Talks to the longevity that you guys are trying to build.
Yeah, and that's been really important in our conversations, even as a team. It's just the question came up early on of especially to Karen as an artist, and the question of do you see this as a one-time collection and that's it, and there's nothing wrong with that, but if you really see this as something that is going to continue and be a long-term, pretty much its own brand, then yeah, then community is going to have to come first. And we discussed that, and we from the very beginning we that was at the top of the list for us was building a community that not only can obviously enjoy the pieces and collect them, but that can also be a part of the growth of the creatures and the growth of the story, and the storyline that we're building. I mean, there's a lot of really cool ideas to do, yeah, to write little stories for them and turn those into mini stories, and that can just go on its own, can go into a whole different world of creating stories and visuals and shorts and all kinds of stuff. So it's really exciting to kind of have that community mindset first, because then all of the ideas for future kind of grow naturally and evolve from those people within the community.
Right. And everything you touch is such high quality. I'm super impressed from I love to run this promo that you did with the gentleman sitting with a glove of choice that really harkens to my childhood. Let me just run this real quick. Real cinema quality, you know. Super impressive stuff.
That was super fun.
Yeah, I especially like the contest winner announcement where you popped into, I don't know what that was, a Denny's or something, and
That's the best.
Let me see if I can pull that up as well.
Yeah, we want to do another. Actually, we're doing another one Monday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And is that for another contest winner reveal?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Let me just run this.
Gonna pick one. I'm picking it. Oh shit, Jeff.
Yeah, you guys go hard anytime you go at something. So
I'm laughing because there's no eye holes in the masks. That was.
He's just struggling his way through there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Which, I mean, I'm sorry, but I like seeing other people struggle through things. It's entertaining.
I just put it in the chat, another one of those little videos, but yeah, those have been super fun. And poor Brian, who's now an honorary creature, is the one that is going to be getting dressed for any giveaway or.
So we were talking about every giveaway making his time worse and worse. So like we're thinking on one, like the name is in like an aquarium full of scorpions, or like I think that was like the ultimate, like there's things in between him not being able to see in that one and the scorpions.
Right.
The thing with this is that you see like all the possibilities that we have with these characters. And imagine like a short film about the backstory of one of these creatures. We could do so many things.
Yeah.
You know what? A lot of projects talk about the IP having legs for animation or a film or something, but this 100% is believable that it could be achieved and could happen, right? Like I could totally see someone seeing this and wanting to take it forward. So really excited about the possibilities. There's a comment, a couple comments in the community I want to share with you. Someone says that they really love that this project so strongly shows your aesthetic, Karen, and it's really true to your nature. Whereas there's some other ones where artists participate and it's kind of like they're on the fringe. It has a little bit of their flavor on it, but it's something else. Like this is you. You know, this is 100% you. And someone else commented that they really appreciate that it's genuine. They can see how much fun you guys are having making this and how authentic it is, and that the mixed media is really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, that means a lot too, because everything I do is about that. Like I create because it's almost like therapy to me, I have to. That's the only reason why I do it. I don't do it for any other reason, but it's a bonus that, we can take people along with us. And I know that's essentially what community is, but to me, when someone resonates with what I do and it makes them feel a certain way, that's important to me. So yeah, I think you know, even if someone's like personality is fake, the same way that can be faked when you're creating, you can also kind of be, you know, disingenuine about it. So that means a lot to me that, you know, people would say that, because yeah, we had a great time with this, and now we're like friends, like we're talking constantly, and like, you know, it's we get along so well, and like our personalities like mesh so well. Like I really am like having a great time doing this, and yeah, it's been amazing, and I'm glad other people can enjoy it with us.
Awesome. Well, we're glad that you're sharing it with us for sure. I know we're up against the hour, but I have a few more questions that have been DM'd to me from the community if you guys have a couple minutes. Someone asked, you know, will there be a whitelist or opportunity to guarantee we can mint? If so, what do we need to be on the lookout for and what can we do?
Everyone got quiet.
Yeah,
So
I'm just waiting for you guys to.
we're announcing that this coming week.
Okay.
That's so I would say stay on the stay on the lookout. This coming week we're announcing a lot more information about collaborations we're doing and the yeah, getting on. We're calling it the average list. So you got to be pretty average to get on it. But yeah,
Nice.
that's coming out this following week.
Very cool. Um, Here's a question. What are you guys' thoughts on the current collectible scene? What's good about it and what's lacking? And that
Um,
could be PFP projects as well. I think people use them
yeah,
interchangeably.
I mean, I'm there's a lot of good stuff, but I mean, to me it's just kind of like how the art world, and I know it's not just art when it comes to PFPs, but you know, just the visual creative world. I think it's always kind of been like that, where like, you know, as long as people aren't hurting anyone, they're not scamming anyone, they're not, you know, rug pulling or whatever. Um I think the copies are weird, like doing like the same thing over and over again. Um I think if I was a creator of something and someone put something out that's like the same thing, I'd probably be a little upset. But again, there that existed even before NFTs. So there's really not much that's different to me. I love collectibles. I'm the kind of person that like I usually get them just because I love the artwork. Um I've only gotten a few that I thought I would flip, but I think there's a lot of amazing collectibles out there. I think we're only on the ground level of what we can do with them. And I'm excited when I see, you know, what other people are doing and the possibilities. And um so I just I don't know. I think the future is bright with that. I think as the technology grows and people have been in the space longer and they're learning, and like I have a couple friends that every Monday on Twitter Spaces they teach how to do your own contract, and I think that's probably another important step with artists. But just knowing that people are doing that and then doing like crazy things with their own contracts is just like that's exciting to me. Like that to me is hope, and that's like an amazing future that I can't wait to see.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the what's so exciting is that this space is so early, and we keep saying we're early, but the truth is we are, and we're just kind of getting our toes wet. And unfortunately that also means that there's a lot of players who are just in it for the wrong reasons, just like they in any other kind of renaissance, if you would, of art or technology. You're going to have a lot of people who are just in it for the wrong reasons, but I think with time we'll see that start to fizzle out and then really see the potential. We haven't really gotten into into music NFTs like we have with visuals, or we haven't, coming from a filmmaking background, like there isn't really much out there when it comes to film NFTs. And there's conversations happening, but with time we'll start really seeing the potential of the technology and the potential of, as people are learning, like Karen said, like the contract piece, and a lot of the technology that a lot of us still don't understand, or we're still early. And it's still not, the security maybe is not there for a lot of people, and that turns people away. But I think with time, and being part of things that are long-term minded is super exciting, because like that we were just talking about, the possibilities are so so large, and so it's like we can do all kinds of things, and so that excites me personally quite a lot about the space.
Very cool. Yeah, I think thanks to all the pioneers that worked hard for years prior to this and laid the foundation, and we're certainly early in the adoption curve from general population. I think we're under 5% market penetration for NFTs, so huge influx of people to come. A lot of hard work by artists and creatives like yourselves to kind of get to where we are today for years, and yeah, exciting possibilities moving forward for sure. Here's a fun one. Someone said, "I'd like to know this group's top 3 '80s movies."
I'll go first. This is hard because there's so many. Legend with Tom Cruise, because
Ooh,
that is
dark
like,
horse there.
yeah, that's like the ultimate makeup set design. Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
That one's 70s.
Goonies. I could have picked like 50, but that's what I'm going with.
Nice. You guys want to chime in as well?
Yeah, I love the Godfather trilogy, even though that's also in the 70s. But I love the Gremlins are another one that's super fun. And then, a third one I would have to think a little bit more.
I would go with Dune, like the original one.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, David Lynch.
Back to the Future, of course,
Nice.
and I don't know, maybe Full Metal Jacket or something like that.
Nice spread there. I like the gamut. No wonder why you guys came together as a team. You complement each other well. Someone mentioned Willow in our chat. I'm excited for the Willow series they're working on Netflix.
Yes, I know. I just saw that and I was like, what?
Yeah, I'm pretty hyped for that.
Amazing. Mad Mardigan.
Man, so many people don't give it the respect it deserves.
No, not at all. Yeah, man, that is one of those movies that like stuck with me. Like it just had that feeling. If you watched it back then, you know what I mean. It just, yeah.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, someone sent me this one. It says, can you get Nightmare a better background than he has? So I'm just throwing that out there. I think we may have an opportunity there, Karen. You and I should talk afterwards for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Let me know.
All right, guys, it sounds like the community is excited. I'd encourage everyone to head over to your Twitter. It's AVG Creatures, so Average Creatures, and they can find the way to your socials and everything else there, as well as averagecreatures.io to follow the project and know when it's minting. But really, Twitter's the space to keep tabs on what the news is, and you definitely want to pop in the Discord because I've seen you guys post contests and sneak peeks and other cool alpha.
That's it. That's
so I'm in there, guys, and I'm sure you'll see more of the whale community. We look forward to the mint date and to all of the news to come. So thank you for coming on and sharing with us today, and best of luck with the project moving forward.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. It was fun.
It's been a pleasure, guys.